Hi friends, it's a Monday again, and this is the best part of a Monday is when I get to hang out with you guys and do a little bit of creating. So hopefully you've had a good day and you had a nice weekend. I had a really relaxing weekend, and I'm glad my husband's back from his retreat. So we're going to make a couple of things today using the Nests of Winter. And while this isn't the Nest of Winter DSP, we're going to make one with it. But I wanted to experiment with it to make sure that I understood how to put it together. But this is one of those collapsing boxes that if you undo it, it lays flat. So flat with the exception of the 3D elements that I put on the front. So this makes it so that you can actually fold it and mail it. It's a little bit bigger than a card, obviously an A2 card, so you'd have to put it in a larger envelope. But it's a great item that you can use year-round or Christmas time. And I just think that it's a cute little box. I think as far as what it would hold, I think that now this lotion's a little bit too big, but you could easily put in a lotion. You could put in some candy. You can put in some tissue paper and macaroons, whatever, or macarons, whatever they're called. So I think it's a really fun gift box. And I haven't done anything quite like this before. I found a gal in Australia. Her name was Mandy Witherby from Sydney, Australia. And of course, everything was in metrics. So I had some fun trying to convert that all to inches. So I'll show you how to do it. I'll get it up on my blog, and then you'll have a chance to learn how to do it yourself. Hey, Linda, glad you could join me. I'm going to make one of those flat boxes. So this is a gift box that goes flat, and then we're going to make this card, which is a really fun fold that it's just DSP, but I think it's just so pretty, especially when you've got something so interesting going on. So we've got some fun things that we're going to make today. Okay. So we're using the Nests of Winter, and the DSP is so, so pretty. So you can see that this is the back of that one, and I can't wait to scrapbook with this. I think it'll make a beautiful Christmas scrapbook page. So this is this page of this, but I'm using the other side. So there's only the one you can see here. But I love the birch in the background. And you've got all these little willows, which is what we're using for our card. And this is the back side of it. More of the willows. And then we've got the birch. So just so you know, there's a great birch embossing folder. So I think it works really well with this paper. Now, typically, I've seen some cards where people have had the birch going up and down, so it does make an interesting background. But birch, if you look at the wood and the way that the bark wraps the tree, it wraps this way. So just in case you're using this, I just wanted to let you know that that's actually the way the birch go. So if you recall a while back, I had showed you what I made at Creativity Now with this sweet collection. So these are the 4 projects that we had. We had these really sweet little cards, and then we had this really pretty little 3D box that we made, and this had the enamel effects, the copper enamel effects, and then we made little berries for the wreath. And I just, so pretty, but I haven't had a chance to touch it, not since Christina passed away, and then we lost our cat. And now my husband has some health challenges that I'm hoping that you'll pray. He's got a diagnosis of cancer. We've got a PET scan tomorrow. So if there's any way that you're able to keep your prayers open for him, that would be great. So I'd appreciate it. Okay, so for the first card, I wanted to show you some of the other coordinating product. So they have not only the embossing folder, but there's the dies. Here's the stamp set, and that's sweet. And the two bird dies that cut out both of these also cut out the DSP. So for this paper, there's actually only one bird that it cuts out in this one. That's this one. It cuts this one out, but you have to somehow line up the die from the back because it's just the opposite of this one. So you'd have to be really careful and very creative in order to do that. So this is the only one that it does it for that one. But with the one that we're using tonight, which is this DSP, and I just fell in love with the back, the pattern on it, it cuts out all these birds. So all of them are able to be cut out, which is great. So, okay. So for the first card, and then of course we bought this linen thread in navy blue, garden green, and I believe this is Cajun Craze, or it could be copper clay. I'm not sure. I think it could go with either one of them. So it's really pretty. It's not quite as heavy as the jute, and I like that better than the jute as well. Okay, so for this card, we're going to start with an A2 card base, and I'm using Pebbled Path. That's one of the new in colors, and I just love this color of gray. It's just a little warmer than basic gray, and I think it coordinates really well with gray granite, so which has kind of a little bit of a warmer tone. But we're only going to use the Pebbled Path, just because I thought, this paper has got this gray granite background, and I thought the Pebbled Path looked really nice with that. Okay, so we start with this, just an A2 card, and then, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Let me just use my phone folder to get this to lay down a little bit better. Hey, thank you, Linda. Really appreciate it. His appointment, I don't recall exactly, but I think it's around 1 or 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So I'm going to be fasting and praying as well, because we want a miracle for sure. So he feels fine. He doesn't feel any of the cancer, but they're wanting to remove at least one of the tumors that's in his kidney, and then we'll see about the other two. Okay, so I'm got a piece of cherry cobbler, and I cut this at 4 1/8 by 5 1/2. And the reason I'm doing it at 5 1/2 is because when I am using the DSP like this, where I want people to be able to put it on their mantle and let it sit out there and not fall forward. So all of the layer pieces are going to be 5 1/2 feet tall, or 5 1/2 inches tall. So this DSP is so beautiful. And you can see that from the designer series paper, you can easily make 2 of them. I love that they have both of them, and it just kind of has a little bit of a story to tell, which I think is really cool, because all the birds are different. There's not anything that's been repeated that's the same. And so that's why I love doing this kind of a card with it, because it's just so pretty. You've seen me do it before with, I think, some celebration cardstock. Okay, so for this, I need to do a fold at 4 inches. Let me turn it over. I'm just doing one because I think that if I get really careless and not careful, then I can end up with maybe some things that aren't quite exactly. Okay. And then I'm just going to line it up here with the left side. Then I'm just going to glue this on to the cardstock. So this is 4 inches. Each one of these is 4 inches by 5.5. You just have this very gentle little stagger of color. So you can see the cherry cobbler, just barely. It's just a hint of color to match the bird on the front. And then we're going to add a sentiment, and we're going to cut out one of the birds from the designer series paper. So when I am cutting this 5.5 and then 5.5, it leaves a little bit more than an inch, or about an inch, I guess, of strip of cardstock in the middle. And I just cut that in half, and I'm just going to glue that to the front of my envelope. So we'll do that here in a minute. Okay, so the dies, this sweet little bird matches exactly with the DSP. So I'm just using piece of the Post-it tape. I mean, it's just really great for what we're doing. You just can't use it more than like a couple of times before it starts having a hard time. Okay, so because this is not a Christmas necessarily, there's no Christmas sentiment, I'm going to be using the sentiment from Greetings of the Season, and I'm using Merry Christmas on the front, and then I'm going to use this May your holiday season be filled with warmth and cheerful celebration on the inside. So, and then I'm going to be using this die right here. This is a tag. Let's get rid of the little, I had a little piece left in there. Okay. All right, so I have my Merry Christmas already ready. And as you can see from this card, I'm using the Pebble Path ink. And I need a little bit of, I could have sworn I had a little bit of paper. Yep. So this gets put on the inside, but we need to stamp the sentiment first. And I need to stamp Merry Christmas on this. So I am putting my sentiment as far over to the right as possible because I want a little room on this side for the bird. Might as well just clean this off while I've got it out. And so I'll need that for this. And then let's stamp this sentiment while we have ink out, and then we can put it away. So I'm just going to put this somewhere in the middle. The nice thing about sentiments like this, you don't have to put a big old message with it. You can easily just put their name at the top and sign it, or just sign it. And it just has such a great greeting on the inside. Okay, so now let's line this up. And again, I'm putting it as far down as I can. And then I'm going to die cut the bird and the sentiment at the same time. You know what I forgot to do is I forgot to add so this is another coordinating item, Earth Tone Shimmery Gems. And let me just get these out so you can see how pretty they are. They are just really lovely. There's a cream or vanilla, garden green. This looks like just a light color creme cake or champagne. And then it looks like we've got Cajun craze or copper clay. I'm not sure which it is. So really, really pretty. And I should have added that to this. So I think I'm just going to use can't believe I forget to put my my bling on there. That makes it just that much more. Just kind of elevates it. I could have done the green to match the ribbon, so I'll do that for this one. Okay. So let's glue this on the inside. Okay, so for this, I'm going to add some of this linen in green. And I'm just going to cut off about 10 inches. And then you can just thread it through, tie a pretty bow. Okay, so I'm going to pop this up with dimensionals. And I'm putting this sentiment down here on the bottom right. And then I've got this little bird that I'm going to put here. So I'm placing this one so I know where to place it. And then I need to make sure the tail doesn't go off the edge. It does cover this little bird a little bit. There we go. And then I think I'm going to use some of these green gems this time instead. Ties into the ribbon that I'm using. Even though there's no green necessarily, I think it's just really pretty. And it just kind of adds to that Christmas feeling. So Merry Christmas. May your holiday season be filled with warmth and cheerful celebration. So really pretty card. And then of course we have the envelope, never a naked envelope. And I'm just going to add this little 1-inch strip down here at the bottom. Make sure it lines up. Trim off the excess. And I've got a decorated envelope. So great card. All right. So now to the fun one, 3D boxes. Okay. So for this one, okay, so I'm not going to make the balmy blue. This is what this cardstock is. So you're going to need a 6-inch by 8 3/4 inch piece of cardstock. And then you're going to need a 5 7/8, sorry, by 10-inch piece of DSP. And as you can see from this box, I use Velcro closures. Oh, thanks, Linda. Appreciate that. You can see that you get to see both sides of the DSP. So I'm putting the birds on the inside, and this is going to be the outside. So let's get our, okay, so in addition to that, you're obviously going to need something to decorate it with, and I'm going to use another one of the A Friend Like You Brings Me Happiness. But you're also going to need, this one's not quite small enough. So you're going to need 3 panels that are 5 7/8 by 1 7/8. And they fit on this side. And then I have one extra for the flap. Okay. So let's bring the score and cutting over. All right, so for this DSP, we're gonna score it at 2 inches and at 8 inches, which I'm just gonna turn it over and do it at 2 inches again. Okay, because it's 10 inches long. And then on this side, I'm going to score it at 2 inches and then at 4 inches. Okay, so it might be hard to see, but and we'll get into some of the other things you need to do to that. And then for this, we're going to score it at 2 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches, and then at 8 inches, which gives me 3/4 of an inch on this other side. Okay. All right, so this is how the box is going to be folded. So I'm going to braise it really carefully here. So you can also look up some tutorials that I think other people have done for this flat box. But Mandy Witherby did it in a different DSP, but with the Nests of Winter. And I just thought that would be really pretty, especially if I could convert it to inches instead of metrics. Okay, so as you can see, in order to get these diagonal folds, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so that these corners align, and then I'm going to score this. You can actually do it out this way. So I'm going to make sure that my score lines match up. And I think I messed up. I think I was supposed to So I'm just making sure that each one of the scores or the folds are It's folding out from the corner. Okay. So now when I am So when this starts coming together, I'm going to glue these together, and then you'll see how the box we're getting there. So you can see how the box opens up. Okay. So, but it has to open up like this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to glue at these corners right here. So that when it opens up like so. Okay. So it's really important that you glue it in the right spot. Top and the bottom triangle, because we want this to be able to open up like so. Let me let this sit here. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do. Okay, so now all of this, let me fold these. So these are every 2 inches. And then this is the tab that you will adhere. And as you can see, I used Velcro. I can't find my little magnets. Normally a magnet would fit nicely underneath the DSP and not show and be a really nice closure, but I can't find it. So, okay. So because this is my top flap and this is the front flap, I want this to go here. Okay. And I'm going to use glue because I want to be able to wiggle it around and get it in the right spot. And I'm going to center it on these 2 folds. Okay. And I want the birds, when you open it up, to be facing this way. So I want to make sure that I glue it in that direction. So I'm just going to put glue over this entire thing. I could have turned it over so that you saw this on the inside, but I thought the birds would be a nice surprise. Okay. So I'm going to wiggle it around, and then I'm going to actually fold it up and make sure it's in the right place for both of those. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to turn it over, and this is the bottom. So now we're going to place the 1 7/8 by 5 7/8 here, 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 and then this is 5 7/8 by 1 3/8, or 3/8 inch. So whenever I've got like 1/8 of an inch, the best thing to do is go up to the next one and then just move it back by 1/8 of an inch. So actually this is 5/8 inch, because it's 3/4 of an inch and I wanted 1/8 of an inch less, so then I just move it over to 1. Okay, So let's go ahead and just add these pieces. And I love these colors. Of course, Pool Party is absolutely one of my favorites. So we talked to the doctor on Tuesday, and we'll know the results of the PET scan. We've got a church praying for him that he has a miracle. I'd love for there to be a miracle. I just can't imagine what all he's going to have to go through otherwise. That's why you'll find that when I'm talking about it, I'll say he's been diagnosed with cancer, but I won't say that he has cancer. Because I don't want to use that expression because I feel like that just lets Satan defeat us. Okay. So pretty. Okay, so now I'm going to add my little Velcro. I probably could have found Velcro smaller than this, but this is all I have right now. So I'm going to put the soft side right here, about an inch or so in. Better do that over a little bit. So I'm going to make sure it's adhered really well. And then I'm going to put the rough side over the top. And then I'm going to bring this down and just push really hard so it adheres really well. Okay, so now when we have this box, you can see that we just line it up and it's done. Isn't that easy? Just went together in just a few minutes, and I just learned this afternoon, so or during my lunch period. So, okay, so I need a sentiment and I need a bird. So on this one, I took inspiration from the card that I made. Find the cards. Now I have them here. Going crazy. Here we go. So I took it from this one. Obviously, I didn't want a yellow bird. I wanted a blue bird. And I think that it's just so cheerful. It could be any time of year. It doesn't have to be Christmas. So you can see that it's got just a great feel to it. And so, but maybe this time I can just use one of these birds. So I was thinking I could use this one. A little bit of his tail's off, but I can have it just cut out right here. And there's another die. Cuts out these birds. So let me just cut this out real quick. How nicely it cut it out. So I think this is really cute, and I can still have my sentiment here. So let me cut out the sentiment. And I think what you'll find is that you'll need a 3.5 by 1 inch piece of cardstock. So notice how I have the little bit of the tail missing? What I can do is I can just overlap my birds and put my little sentiment over his tail, so it doesn't really look like it's missing. All right, so let's put, I'm keeping these on the lower part of it because my birds go off the side of the box. And I'm butting up this to the edge because we have some berries missing. Actually, what I'll do is, I'm thinking I should probably cut off these berries. And then make sure this doesn't get in the way. I think this one dimensional does get in the way of the tail. So let me just move it over a little bit. Okay. All right, so now, you can add some string to it, or you can just leave it without, or if you have any other ribbon that you like. I think what I can do is slip some of this ribbon underneath. Oops, it's upside down. The gal that I watched did she did magnets and she did a belly band. And I'm not a big fan of belly bands because I think most people that get these don't really know how to unwrap them, and they end up, breaking apart the belly band anyway. So I think it's just better to do like a little bow or something. And it looks like this is just a little too short. Let's try it again. Yeah, wouldn't you know it? I used up the last of it. Oh, I've got another one. Measure rather than just grab. Okay. Let's try this again. So I'm just threading it between the glue dots. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Doesn't really take much. And remember, it folds flat. So if you're wanting to send this to somebody, just it can go into just a bigger envelope than the A2 card, and you can just fold it flat. So as you can see, I can just untie this undo it, fold it flat, then fold it in half, and I could mail it to somebody, just like so. Okay, so you've got some options. And look at all that room you have for a gift. Isn't that nice? All right, well, that's all I have for tonight. I hope that you have a great evening. Thanks so much for joining me. And I'll put this up on my blog this week so that you have the measurements to make these really cute collapsible boxes and this sweet roll card. So, all right, have a great evening, and thanks so much for joining me.